Welcome Virgo to your 2020 reading, and wow, what an amazing year it looks to be. There's so much powerful stuff going on astrologically. It's one of the most powerful years that we have seen for a long time. How the incoming energy affects us all will be really interesting. It's one of the reasons I'm doing these big 2020 readings. So welcome back anyone who is already a part of this amazing community that we are building, and thank you so much for your likes, your shares, your comments, and just the way that you are not only supporting me but supporting each other. I am blown away. It's been amazing to read your comments and just connect up with as many of you as I've been able to do. Also, anyone new to my channel, welcome. I'm Jenny Florence. This is a big 2020 reading. As we've said, we're going to be drawing 6 different runes. Before I do so, just a couple of notifications really, guys. If you're new to the channel, do check out the information box. I put a lot of free resources into the world and you'll find various links below. Also, lots of people have been asking me what cards I use, and so by the end of this week, I'm just going to give you the date today, because obviously when you check in on a video, you could be looking at it weeks away from now. Today is actually the 19th of November 2019. By the end of this week, there'll be a page on my website. Again, the link is below. It's in the library, and you'll be able to access or find all of the cards that I use, and the runes as well, actually. So if you want to find out what they are and connect into them and know where to get them, there'll be listings there for you. So guys, let's move on and let's draw some runes. We're going to be drawing 6, which is a lot of runes for a reading. Okay. Our first 2, we have the Rune of Flow and the Rune of Separation. Now this is a really interesting kind of combination, okay? The Rune of Flow speaks about the ebb and flow of life. It also speaks of it's like the awakening of our lunar self, the part of us that is aligned with the energy of the moon, the water in us. And it asks you to be in touch with your intuitive self, to immerse yourself in living. It suggests that there will be a flow of energy, and coming next to this Rune of Separations, I would say a flow of energy supporting you into, it's almost like supporting you in flowing into a new way of being. The Rune of Separation says that old skins must be shed. You become free to become more of yourself. You become more aligned with your calling. So the energy is with you. The flow is with you in 2020 to, I'm going to say to, emerge is the wrong word because I think you're already emerging, but the flow is with you to shed old skins and effectively to grow into the next version of yourself. It's like climbing the next step of the personal evolutionary ladder, for want of a better way of saying it. The Rune of Separation can also mean not only do we have to shed old skins, but we have to shed aspects of our lives. It sometimes says a way of life that you have been kind of emotionally bonded with may have to be let go of. In truth, if we step into a whole new chapter of life, a whole new way of being, then we do leave behind a chapter. So this is quite interesting because it is definitely an energy of, as I said, you're growing, you're evolving, you're becoming more than you are, you're aligning, and the energy is absolutely with you to flow into this new space of being. But you may have to let go of some things. Sometimes this can actually be associated with property, with real estate. It might actually mean you have to move, or you change your dwelling, or if you're in a relationship, you might move in with someone if you're taking it up the next rung of the ladder. It's got that flavour about it. So there is not just a shift within you, but a shift in circumstances that correlates with the shift within you, if that makes sense. Let's draw some more runes. Okay, we have the Rune of Initiation. This is a rite of passage, which is very interesting given the two runes that we've got. The flow, the separation, moving into some new form of yourself. This is a bit like a snake shedding its skin. It really needs to in order to expand into its next stage of growth. The Rune of Initiation speaks of kind of like secret matters, okay, but not in an underhanded secret way. It's really talking about spiritual growth. I don't think when we go through phases of spiritual transformation that we can necessarily talk openly or easily to people about that. It isn't that we're closed or that we don't want to. It's just that it's such a personal journey. And also when we are receiving source energy support, when we're receiving support from the universe, it's quite hard to quantify it, even when intuitively we actually know that that is happening, if that makes sense. But this again, as a rite of passage, it suggests transformation. This speaks of the energy of the phoenix rising from the ashes, the eagle soaring high, free of entanglements, holding a higher vision. So pretty powerful energy here in terms of your evolution, I would say, at a level of soul. Very powerful, very, very powerful energy here. Now we've drawn two more runes. We have the Rune of Breakthrough and we have the Rune of Defense. The Rune of Breakthrough is a major, major shift. It's such a big shift that it can sometimes mean that we take almost like a 180-degree turn. It means that our life is transformed to the point where we can't live in the way that we were living, which is interesting because I think when old skins need to be shed, that's also true. We're needing to let go of a way of being, something that may be a way of living that used to be right for us. It doesn't mean that we've done anything wrong. It's not suggesting in any way that the way that we have been living has been inappropriate. It simply suggests that we've outgrown it. So the energy is with you, completely with you, to flow into the next phase. It's like, as I said, being more than we were. And however we used to be living, a way of life is no longer applicable to us. And I'm going to say the more we allow ourselves to flow into that new space of being, you know, for some of you guys, it could be moving into a whole new phase of your personal life or your family life. For others, it could be moving jobs, careers. If you're within a company, you might move up the ladder into a higher level of kind of management. It's all about you stepping up. But it comes with ease, that's what I want to say. Everything is flowing here. The Rune of Defense is interesting because it says, if an obstacle appears or there is a delay in some way, trust that it is bringing you really good information. It often speaks of, it's the kind of obstacles that we experience when we enter a new life or a new phase of life. I think it's fair comment when we begin something new. We can never know how that's actually going to be until we get there and we start doing it. It's kind of like if you move to a whole new area, it takes a while to kind of bed in, to kind of get plugged into the earth in a new location, to get connected in the community, to get to know people. And in that transitionary period, we can experience a few ups and downs, you know, not just outside of us, but within us. This rune says, I guess it's like an invitation. It's a request to kind of wait and allow something to level out, to process. And it says, if an obstacle appears, trust that the delay is appropriate because it's showing you something. It's also a very interesting energy around it to do with aversion. It says that you develop an aversion to things that don't resonate with you. So if you are shedding a skin and you are moving, transitioning into a space particularly of greater spiritual awareness, you might find that maybe some of the friendships that you've had in the past, it's not that you lose them, but they cease to be. And again, it's not that they cease to be important. It's just that maybe if you've grown and the other person hasn't grown, you just won't resonate at the same frequency. It doesn't mean you lose that person, but sometimes we don't spend quite as much time with people. If we shift to a different place, they'll catch up, you know, that's fine. And if they don't, that's also fine. We're on our own pathways. But it is back to this kind of outgrowing of something. Let's draw our last rune. Wow, guys, it's the blank rune. This is phenomenal. It's the way I describe it is, it's the infinite source of possibility that lies in the unknowable future. I have written that in various places. There is so much potential. This is really about you flowing into a new form that is offering you the potential of so much possibility. And I'm going to say that these possibilities are far more in alignment with who you are now and with who you need to be. 2020, I think, will be a year of transition for you guys, but it's going to flow into being. I'm not seeing anything that is suggesting hiccups and delays. Even the Rune of Defense that suggests that if an obstacle appears, you need to trust that the delay is providential and wait it out to see what happens. It's still resonating with the kind of hiccups and obstacles that we come across because we have entered a new life, at the beginning of a new way of being. So I don't think there's any hold-ups into your flow into a new way of being. It's just that once you get there, you're going to be finding your feet, which is pretty cool. That's an appropriate space to be in. I'm going to move our runes out. I'm going to place these right at the top here, and we'll draw cards. We're going to be drawing a lot of cards. A magical number of cards, I am sure, because, oh, just what a powerful year. We'll draw from the tarot first, my old faithful pack that I have had for many, many years. Our first card is the card of Temperance. You are going to be weighing things up a lot. This is this entering a new life. You're going to need to balance things, and you're going to need to evaluate I suspect as you travel through the year. I don't think it's like one big evaluation. I think it's an ongoing evaluation. You may even find that more than one direction presents itself to you in terms of the flow into a new way of being. Evaluate. Take your time. And a secondary message that comes with this card is notice the things in your life that knock you off balance. And notice, and this is circumstances, people, events, anything that knocks you off balance, that kind of jars with your energy. And notice what allows you to rebalance and start to develop that as a tool. Again, this is about trusting your intuition, the initiation, the moving into being guided ultimately by spirit, walking that spiritual pathway, leaning into your intuition, learning to listen to your higher self, your deeper knowing. Evaluate. Weigh things up. Notice what knocks you off balance, and as I said, develop that as a tool of navigation. Because when we're faced with changes, if something knocks us off our balance and we know how to rebalance, and that could be different for each of us. You know, well, obviously the things that knock us off balance are different, but so are the ways of balancing. You know, for one person it could be yoga, for another it could be meditation, for another it might be literally going for a walk in the countryside, in which case make sure you do that every day. You know, for others it could be a combination of all of those things, but whatever you do, notice what helps you to realign yourself with yourself and develop that as an ongoing tool for navigating change and transition, particularly when you are faced with, I think, more than one pathway and more than one opportunity. And that's really reinforced by the energy of the blank rune. It's like a phase when I think the universe could be offering you various options and saying, well, what would you like? And sometimes when we're faced with choices, it can feel a little confusing and we can wobble a bit. Lovely energy, the Ace of Swords. Crystal clear intentions. Okay, as you weigh things up, as opportunities are presented to you, I think this is a year of opportunity for you guys. That's what I'm really hearing. I may even call this reading that, a year of opportunity. These are opportunities of magnitude. They're not small opportunities. This is life-changing stuff for the better. Now, the Ace of Swords asks you to hold crystal clear intentions in collaboration with Temperance. I think you are being asked to use these experiences of, you know, what would you like to do? Would you like to go in this direction or would you like to go in that direction? I think you're being asked to use those experiences as a form of evaluation. Don't just dive into one route because it's what you thought you wanted to do. Be open to opportunity, be open to possibility, and evaluate at every stage in the way. And all of your experiences are going to help you to gain that clarity of intention. We then have the Page of Cups. Now this card comes with several meanings, but I'm going to draw some more cards before I focus in exactly on the energy of this. Okay, Seven of Cups. We have more choices, lots and lots of choices. And a lot of promise. It's like you guys move into a more grounded, earthy phase of life. The meaning of the Page of Cups it has several meanings to it. In this instance, the message that I hear very clearly connecting to the Seven of Cups is that you are being asked to be very, very clear about your own self-care and to identify what you need. Sometimes this can be a card that indicates that there's somebody who's a little bit narcissistic, sometimes even a lot narcissistic, not just a little, around you, where they're a little bit selfish. But I don't think that's its meaning here. I think you're being asked, I venture to say, to sort of be a bit selfish, not in an unhealthy way at the expense of anyone else, but could you please, and I almost want to say, this is really interesting, but it's coming through so clearly, so I'm just going to say it. Could you please, for the first time in your life, actually consider yourself? Could you actually think about what it is that you actually want and prioritise that? You have choices, a lot of choices. The wonderful thing is that you've come far enough on your journey to make those choices wisely. Set your intentions as, allow your intentions to be fluid. Yeah, allow them to be almost, allow them to be, it's not like they're completely changeable, but allow them to be open to the possibility of changing and rerouting if something better is shown to you or offered to you. Again, evaluate, use all of your experiences as a process of evaluation with you and your desires at the top of the agenda. I'm really stressing that, and I cannot tell you how loudly and clearly that's coming through. Make choices from a position of conscious awareness. If you commit to something, do so because you know what you're getting into, because you've looked into it. You guys have that extraordinary, wonderful attribute of being able to really look at the fine detail of things. You know, some of the other signs really, really struggle with that. You guys are good at that stuff. Use that skill not to be involved in any form of perfection, but use it in a way that allows you to really investigate thoroughly every option that's available to you. You're heading into a much more grounded, fruitful, earthy phase of life. This feels as though I feel as though the process of 2020 is going to get you to a space where you actually know what it is that you want. You know the pathway you're on, you know the direction you're going in, and you know it with clarity. And that is a position of phenomenal empowerment. When we're not sure exactly where we want to go or what we want to do, or we have a lot of different ideas, it's really, really interesting, because although we can try and set intentions and we can get involved in manifesting and, you know, on some level, all of that can be moving forwards. But our real strength comes when we really know what we want and we have a clear direction. You know, if you ask somebody, you know, what do you want, and they don't know, it's pretty difficult to deliver it to them or give it to them, because it's like a blank space. Yeah. So I would say the process, the energy of this year is offering you a variety of experiences. The universe is wanting to enlarge your horizons with possibility, taking you out of the area of precision that would hold you in something that possibly doesn't work for you anymore, and using the very same area of precision, those marvellous skills, to evaluate every possibility along the way, so that you arrive in a space of very clear conscious intention. And then that can then begin to manifest. You move towards that. You move into that grounded, earthy, steadier phase of life. It's a powerful year. There's a lot of incoming energy that is requesting, inviting, I suspect sometimes demanding change. For you guys, though, it feels as though the changes are going to flow into being. So I would literally be asking you to go with the flow. You know, sometimes with the energy, I think sometimes, you know, we need to learn to float and let the current take us where it will, to discover new shores, new horizons, and we can decide whether they work for us or not, and we can get, you know, back into the waves and be taken somewhere else. It's got that kind of flavour. You know, for some of the other signs, it's much more about kind of learning to swim, and rather than allowing it to evolve. So very, very interesting. I think everything is going to flow. The energy is with you to flow into almost your new form. I'm really, really enjoying this reading. I really am. I'm actually going to draw from one of the other tarot packs now. Wonderful energy of the Death card. External circumstances. Your external world is changing. Change is coming. Transformation. Now, this is interesting. When I said to you, could you please, for the first time, prioritise yourself? For once in your life, think of you. The card of power is very interesting. I also said, don't hold on to too fixed a perspective. You need to use your ability to cross the T's and dot the I's, not to stay in one direction, but to evaluate with precision. The card of power has a double message. It asks you to... It asks you to hold your boundaries. So it's very big on self-care. If there was somebody who was a little bit narcissistic around you, I'd be saying, hold firm. Really step up your boundaries. Prioritise your own well-being. Yeah, you need to be not living in a way that expends your energy at the expense of others. So this card of power asks you to hold boundaries, to stand firm. The other side of it is don't stand so firm that you are too fixed and are therefore not flexible enough to kind of walk through the doorways that are being offered to you. It's almost like if we're going from A to B and we've fixed our route and we've planned our route and we're so set on that route that we miss some of the detours along the way. Remember, if obstacles appear, trust that the delay is providential. We can miss a detour that was a golden opportunity. And although the universe will present it to us again, it flows so much better if we are available to not be so fixed. It's kind of like we need to be clear and yet flexible at the same time. Change is coming. Change is coming. In a really, really powerfully good way. I'm seeing so much of this energy of transition. I mean, it is the predominant astrological energy, and of course it is coming in and impacting on us each in different ways. Wow, guys. 2 cards. We have the Ace of Discs and the 3 of Cups, abundance. Ace of Discs is all about new beginnings, particularly for career, money, finances, the earthy stuff of life, I'm going to say. The practical, pragmatic stuff. You know, the daily stuff that we actually need. I want to shift a perspective here, actually. Again, I'm getting quite a clear message through on this one, and it's to do with lack. I think some of us still have, and I know I've leaned into this a lot myself, which is why I think I'm able to speak so clearly about it. I think that we can almost feel guilty for having. Okay, it's kind of like if we allow ourselves to have, we think of other people who don't have, or we feel as though it's like it's not a spiritual pathway to have. And I really want to challenge that. If we live in lack, we're actually contributing to an imbalance. I'm not suggesting you should go and have, you don't necessarily have to have billions of pounds, but in terms of the quality of your life, it's really important that you tackle any internal issues that stop you from feeling entitled to have the life that you wish to lead. You know, the Saturn-Pluto collaboration that comes together in January, it's been dominating the scene for a while, and it's going to through 2020 as well, although the energy will begin to shift and move slightly differently, I think. It's been calling us to let go of anything that no longer serves us, to let go of structures that don't work anymore, structures of power that are inappropriate, any imbalances, whether that is, kind of on a global scale or down to us as individuals. And there's something of this flavour here. Again, prioritise yourself, please. For the first time, trust that it's right to do so. I'm not suggesting that you need to be selfish in a selfish way. I think you need to be selfish in a mindful way. Because if you address that balance, that imbalance, then it's kind of like the energy can flow to you. And we all know, if our cups are full, we have an abundance to give to others. It goes without saying. I think we really, really do all know that. And now we have the card of oppression. Again, very interesting. Saturn in Sagittarius. That's the planetary connection to this card. The card of oppression says, why are you holding yourself back? Could you please let go of anything within you that stops you or blocks you from holding yourself back from believing in yourself, from believing in the future that you can have. Very interesting energy. I'm being asked to draw from the Moonology cards. Ooh, they are leaping out. Okay, so we have a card that says a win-win outcome is forecast. Lovely energy. This is exactly the energy of the runes. The flow is with you. The question is, can you allow yourself to go with that flow? Or is there anything within you that might hold you back? Can you trust, believe in yourself? You have all the skills available to you to evaluate at every step of the way, to build on your confidence in your own decision making, to build on your entitlement, to bring about the kind of changes that you actually wish to see in your world, the life that you desire. And then our second card, which I think is lovely, it's time to release negativity. It's exactly what this card of oppression is saying. What is it? Is there anything in you that holds you back? And if so, please let go of it. You know, really, really, please just let go of that. Okay, I'm going to actually draw astrology cards next. Okay, we have two cards that have come out here. We have the card of roots and we have the card of sacrifice. Okay, these are interesting. The card of roots is all about literally getting ourselves grounded, putting down roots, allowing ourselves to, allowing ourselves to know where we want to be. It's that shift towards a more earthy phase in life where you kind of get plugged in. But there is this phase of transition. So the energy is around you to enter a new phase of life, full of possibility, but that process needs the evaluation to make sure that you are making decisions along the way. The Neptune card of sacrifice would suggest in this shedding of old skins, that you do have to let something go in order to move to what you want. Now that's, in a way, I know I'm kind of probably teaching you to suck eggs here, because I think it's logical, it's pragmatic, it's sort of, we know that when we finish one chapter of life, we have to let go of a previous one. But back to this rune of separation. This rune says we have to let go of something that to which we had an emotional attachment. It could be a way of being, it could be an attitude, it could be whatever it is. There is something that has to be let go of to free you up, to allow you to literally go with the flow. But my goodness me, the energy is so with you. I'm actually going to draw from the Art of Manifestation cards now. This is interesting. I want to say, guys, what's this about? You've done nothing wrong. Whatever has taken place was out of your control and out of your hands. This card asks you to let go of any feelings of guilt. This was not your fault. You've done nothing wrong. That is a very powerful message. Now, I have a question around that, which is, this holding back, does that have roots? You know, the not prioritizing yourself. Does that have roots in carrying guilt? Have you experienced situations where someone made you feel guilty, and so as a consequence you kind of learned to overcompensate? You know, this could go way back into childhood for some of you. I think for some of you it's previous relationships in your adulthood, that's what I'm hearing. And for some of you it goes back into childhood patterns. I think somewhere along the line Somebody, or more than one person for some of you, has left you feeling bad about yourself, or feeling as though something was your fault, and as a consequence it's like you've developed this overt sense of personal responsibility. Whatever emerges through the year, please don't dive back into that pattern, because it holds you back. Let go of that pattern. You've done nothing wrong. It is not your responsibility to be responsible for anyone else other than yourself, okay? It just isn't. That's true for all of us. We can support others, but we can't fix things for them. We have to let them go their own way. We can support them. We can be there, you know, if they trip up and fall over. We can be there if we want to. But we cannot fix somebody else's pathway, and we're not in charge of the consequences of their actions. We can evaluate and decide what we're going to do in response to their actions, if we choose to do so, and we do so consciously with clear thought and mindful decision making. But any form of, I want to say, manipulation of you that comes through guilt, obligation. It's that classic word, fog. If you find yourself surrounded in fog, which is fear, obligation or guilt, evaluate, get yourself centered. Remember, you're going to learn, or you have certainly an invitation to learn what rebalances you. Get yourself centered, balanced again, and evaluate. Prioritize yourself, because if you do, you will have an abundance to share with others. This is not a time to hold yourself back. The pattern needs to be let go of here. It really does. And if there's, card leaping out. If there is someone who is applying pressure to you, it may be them that you have to let go of. A card has leapt out and gone onto the floor, so bear with me while I just pick that up. Okay, interesting card. We have the card of Persevere. Who would have thought that a humble acorn could grow into a mighty oak tree? But of course this takes time. Whatever you are involved in, this card brings a message of reassurance. Your hard work and continued effort and dedication will come to fruition. You are asked to persevere and to trust. Absolutely. If there is a diversion along the road, an obstacle, trust that it is showing you something. It's there with purpose. There are so many possibilities. Just allow yourself to evaluate. And if this delay or diversion or obstacle turns out to be somebody or a situation applying pressure, please don't act through guilt or obligation or fear. That's a sure sign, if that's the energy around, that we shouldn't be acting on that basis, because it overrides any sense of our own boundaries and our own well-being. I was talking about lack. Right, here we go. Lack. We have the card of lack. Leading a spiritual life does not mean living a life in lack. This card asks you to release any underlying beliefs that you may hold regarding entitlement and worthiness that may be blocking your ability to receive. When you have an abundance of wealth, both inner and outer, you will have an abundance to give and to share with others. Really, really clear message. Couldn't have been clearer. Wonderful cards. They really are awesome. So in alignment with, there's such a unity in the message here. Open yourself to possibility. Almost everyone holds some limiting beliefs about themselves. These perceptions block us from receiving the infinite support of the universe. This card is an invitation to reassess and to look beyond these limitations, and to recognize that in opening yourself to possibility, you automatically invite positive change into your life. I guess in a way you are bringing light in, but it's absolutely, that's the message, isn't it? That the moment we even open ourselves to possibility, there's space for us to receive. And finally, I think this is a pretty powerful reading, really. Learn to say no. Saying no is an act of love. When we say a healthy no to an abusive situation, whether this is in response to another person or to ourselves, we are setting limits and establishing healthy boundaries. A healthy no is saying yes to life. Give yourself permission to say no. Very, very consistent messages, themes running through the year for you guys. So much possibility. The key here is learning to navigate life differently. This is the shedding of the skin. This is absolutely what this is about. I'm just going to draw a couple of Archangel cards, and that will conclude the reading for today. Life review. I do chuckle sometimes when the cards come up because they're sometimes just so in tune with everything that we've been kind of connecting in with. Archangel Jeremiah, take inventory of your life and resolve to change or heal anything that's imbalanced, including your self-care. Just thought I'd throw that one in. Ooh. We have a card of comfort. I am with you in your time of need. This is an Archangel Azrael card. I am with you in your time of need, helping your heart to heal. I'm guessing the shedding of skins may cause a bit of disruption. There may even be people coming back to that card that, although it's inviting you to prioritise yourself, there could be somebody who's been a little bit narcissistic, a bit demanding around you. For some of you, it won't be for all of you, but for some of you possibly. It's hard to move on and say no to people like that because they are familiar with manoeuvring us and manipulating emotions. But it's really not for you to carry responsibility for anyone else. It really isn't. You are being asked to stand firm in your boundaries, prioritise yourself, because you will have far more to offer others if you do so. And the universe is really wanting to support you in the shedding of skins and the moving into a new phase that is so much better for you. So much more in tune with who you are and what you desire and what you want for yourself. Very interesting. We have one more card, career transition. Archangel Chamuel, your life purpose is triggering a blessed career change. I actually have one message that's coming through on this as well that I just need to voice. Sometimes a career change, it's to do with vocation. So although for some of you this may well genuinely connect to a pathway, a calling, a way of life, a career, for others it could literally mean the transition to, I don't know, for example, you might want to be a stay-at-home mum. That might be your transition to your calling. Do you see what I mean? It's about the calling that is right for you. However you look at this, you are being supported in transitioning into a space of a much more earthy, grounded way of living, a phase of living that is in attunement with who you really are and with your... It's far more attuned to you at a level of soul. And I think the interesting thing is you've had to work, and I think you're in this process already, of having to connect to yourselves at a level of soul. We can't know what we want if we can't know how to set our intentions or what intentions to set and hold them with clarity if we don't really know who we are, or we haven't really given ourselves the time to listen to ourselves. I'm not saying you don't know who you are, but it's kind of like really connecting in with yourself and listening to yourself at such a deep level that you gain clarity. To do that, you have to override the impact of any inappropriate sense of responsibility for others. This is looking to be an amazing year, Virgo. well, Sun in Virgo, Moon in Virgo, Virgo rising, or anyone cross-watching, this truly looks to be an amazing year of transition. The energy, the flow is with you. I feel so much as though you are being supported, that it has that flavour about it. I don't feel there's any sense of resistance out there beyond having to work through and process maybe some people in your world that have led you to have some sense of resistance within you. It's definitely based on the fear, obligation, guilt kind of stuff. And that's led you to feeling uncomfortable about having. Persevere, trust. This is a lovely, lovely reading. Virgo, so much love to you. I'm placing these, I may already have said this during the reading, and I apologise if I'm repeating it. I'm putting these readings, the 2021s, into a playlist so that anyone that is wanting to check back in during the year, because I know sometimes if we go through some ups and downs, it reminds us of the reading, and we think actually it would be really useful just to go back to that. They'll be in a playlist. I don't have many playlists on my channel, so you should be able to find them quite easily if you connect in with the A to Z channel page. And yeah, so you should be able to re-find them if you need to. Beautiful people, so much love to you, and yeah, do stay connected. Thank you for sharing your journeys. Thank you for being a part of this amazing community, and I will see you guys really, really soon for the monthly readings, or even the weekly ones that are there to support, again, just to support weekly guidance and to support you also in developing your own intuition. So much love, guys. Namaste.